Actress Sofia Vergara is reportedly being sued by her own embryos. Vergara and her former fiancé, Nick Loeb, have been involved in a long custody battle for the fertilized eggs. A right-to-live lawsuit was filed against the actress on Tuesday in Louisiana. The plaintiffs are listed as the embryos, Emma and Isabella, in a case that could have a lasting impact on would-be parents across the country. Attorney and legal analyst Emily Compagno joins me from Seattle to break down this case. So, Emily, the embryos are listed here as the plaintiffs. Can you explain how that's possible?
Well, interestingly, how I view this case is that fundamentally it's about the father seeking access to these embryos irrespective of the mother's consent. But what we're seeing is the fact that this is a novel situation that is trying to fit in the courts under an existing structure. So as we see science and technology develop, and we have these new situations of being able to have fertilized embryos, how does that read out in the court? So we are seeing these embryos as plaintiffs because it's under essentially trust law. This father is arguing, I set up a trust for my unborn children in the state of Louisiana, and now they're being denied access to funds. So although fundamentally it's a father's issue, in the courts, they are taking this as literally a wills and estates issue.
Is this uncharted territory, Emily, or is there any precedent here that can shape how this case might move forward?
Well, Louisiana is a right-to-life state, and what that means in part is that they recognize embryos as separate human beings. So it is true that in the courts there, that recognition has played out in the law. But interestingly here, Sofia argues saying these actually aren't embryos. They are pre-embryos and therefore do not deserve that protected status. She's also arguing this is contract law. She says we signed a contract agreeing that both of us needed to consent before anything happened with these embryos. So in a way, we've seen this in the form of contract law and again, that embryo protected status. But in this specific case, it remains to be seen whether this access to trust will actually work.
And what's the potential here, Emily? What kind of precedent could this case set?
It has tremendous potential for, again, that fundamental issue of a father's right to embryos. Because if this is granted, and if then these embryos are actually developed, then other states might follow suit, carving out their own exceptions to the law and granting, as the fathers will point out, look at, well, it happened in Louisiana, how about Wyoming, or et cetera. So this does have an interesting gate perspective in terms of being a leading seminal case.
In instances like these, which I know are rare, how does the law work? Does it actually tend to favor the woman or the man?
Well, traditionally, it favors both, and it favors the contract. So actually, that's kind of the fundamental issue here, is that courts are loath to render any contract void or to ignore what is stated clearly. So here, again, Sofia is arguing, we signed off that we would both consent to any decision, but the contract does not specify what would happen if they broke up. Well, the courts will hear the argument on the other side saying, it doesn't matter if we broke up, we should retain this same interpretation of the contract.
All right, a lot of people will be watching this case closely. Emily Compagno, thank you so much.
Thank you.